Russian border city hit by Ukrainian deadly shelling. Israel says it has destroyed Hamas tunnels as UN official warns of regional spillover. Serbian officials have decided to hold a partial rerun of the election amid protests. Passengers are left stranded as Eurostar cancels services due to flooding. Ukraine shelling in the center of the Russian border city of Belgorod killed 14 people and injured more than 108 on Saturday. If confirmed, it will be one of the deadliest strikes on Russia during the war so far. Russian officials accused Kyiv of carrying out the attack. Earlier, Moscow officials had reported shooting down 32 Ukrainian drones over the country's Moscow, Bryansk, Oryol and Kursk regions. They also reported that cross-border shelling had killed 2 other people in Russia. Saturday attacks took place the day after an 18-hour aerial Russian barrage across Ukraine which killed at least 39 civilians. On Friday, Moscow's forces launched 122 missiles and dozens of drones across Ukraine, an onslaught described by one Air Force official as the biggest aerial barrage of the war. Israel released footage on Friday claiming it had located and destroyed what it said were Hamas tunnels in northern Gaza, including hideout apartments of the militant group's leader, Yahya Sinwar. In the meantime, UN officials have warned of the risk of regional spillover.
The continued daily exchange of fire across the blue line poses a grave risk to regional stability. There have been several instances of strikes deeper into the territories of Lebanon and Israel, raising the specter of an uncontained conflict with potentially devastating consequences for the people of both countries.
Drone footage shows thousands of tents set up by displaced families who fled to Rafah for safety. On Friday, relatives mourned loved ones killed in an overnight bombardment at the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital in Gaza's central city of Deir al-Balah, receiving the bodies of 40 people. Serbian officials have decided to hold a partial rerun of the election following protests over alleged fraud. The rerun affects only a small portion of the Serbian electorate, with voters returning to cast ballots at 30 polling stations out of more than 8,000. The movement Serbia Against Violence has called for a boycott of the rerun. Students started a 24-hour blockade outside government buildings in Belgrade on Friday. Thousands took to the street in Belgrade on Saturday, accusing the populist authorities of Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić of orchestrating a fraud during the recent general election. The protests capped nearly 2 weeks of rallies against reported widespread irregularities during the December 17th ballot. At least 14 Eurostar services have been cancelled on Saturday from London St Pancras due to flooding in a nearby tunnel. Passengers were left stranded on the Eurostar concourse in Paris as services between London and Edsfleet were flooded. Only one train will be running in both directions on one of the busiest weekends of the year.
What can you do? You can't really do anything, so it's the only other option would be to drive 2.5 hours and get on a ferry or fly. I don't know.
In northern and central parts of Germany, floods have prompted evacuations of dozens of hundreds of people. In Meppen, where the River Hayes and the River Ems meet, emergency workers are working day and night, pumping away water and reinforcing dikes.
Also ich denke, das war nicht das letzte Hochwasser und da wird bestimmt noch öfter mal Hochwasser kommen und von daher denke ich schon für die Anwohner hier in Esterfeld mit Sicherheit.
More rain is expected for the weekend in several flooded regions of Germany.